So yeah, today we are trying out a new tabletop role-playing game that's coming out called Rune. It's a solo ttrpg that if you hit !Rune in chat, you can find out a little bit more about it. But yeah, it's a Souls-like RPG that I'm excited to get started with today. So, we have a little bit different of a setup today. Um, I wanted y'all to be able to see what I was rolling in the game. So this is just like a little dice cam. Of course, on the first roll of stream, it's two ones. That feels right. Okay, we might not be able to roll dragon dice or quitty because those are a little bit difficult to see. And that was a 6. Oh, beautiful. Highs and lows today. So yeah, this is just kind of, we'll be going through the tutorial for today. This gives people an idea of like what the game style is going to be like, and does, from what I've looked at, does a really cool job of like introducing the rules as you get into the game, so that you kind of layer on the information that you need as you play. Before we get started, I think I am gonna want just like something to write notes down on. So I'm gonna mostly be reading a lot this stream, but I will read it out loud to make sure that y'all also have a good understanding of what I'm going through. So, Rune, what is this? This is a tutorial that will teach you the basics of Rune, including both the exploration and combat modes of play. Instead of presenting all the rules to you at one time, you will be taught the rules as they are necessary, switching between exploration and combat as you explore the tutorial realm. What is this? So Rune is a solo Souls-like RPG that is currently being developed by Spencer Campbell of Gila RPGs. So it combines narrative world exploration with tactical and deadly combat because it is a Souls-like role-playing game, so, hopefully we won't die today. You can learn more about it on the Rune website, so I also have the Twitter linked here. So if you are interested, go ahead and check out some more information on Twitter as well. Alright, cycle of play. Rune goes through a cycle of play between exploration and combat. So it looks like play begins with exploration as you explore the realm that you have wandered into. During exploration, you will be faced with threats. When that happens, play switches to the combat phase. So this particular document contains the basic rules for exploration and combat, but doesn't include all of the rules. So in the event that y'all want to see more, you can also check out the Rune Complete rules and the Grim Coast Realms document. Some more information. This is going to be kickstarted, so the second link that's on the command in chat will link you over to the Kickstarter if y'all are interested. And yeah, I'm excited. Alright, this tutorial is specifically designed to teach you rules as they become necessary through play. You can read ahead if you'd like, but the teaching has been coupled with the mystery of exploring this realm, and you may spoil the fun for yourself if you do so. We will kind of just be playing through this. I haven't looked a ton into the tutorial document, and so we'll be discovering everything together. So what if I die? Rune can be a dangerous game, and the engraved die all the time. I've tried to design this tutorial to minimize that possibility, but death is a natural part of an engraved's life. If your character dies, just reset the fight at full health and try again. Normally, there are penalties and things that happened when the engraved die, but we will simplify for the things for the tutorial. Beautiful. Alright, things that we need for this particular tutorial. A big pile of 6-sided dice, so I do have a big pile of d6s. You'll find cards. Oh, you'll also need something to represent the battlefield during combat. Combat takes place on a 4x4 grid, and you'll find cards for all the enemies and items used in the tutorial at the back of this document. Print them out and grab some tokens to represent characters. I think I actually might still need to do that, so we might put something in like Miro or open up Roll20 or something for the combat sections. You may also want paper and a writing utensil to track notes and other things during play. If you're ready to seek the power to control your fate, go to the next page. So I think before we go to the next page, I am gonna print out a couple of the things. You wake and find yourself lying on the ground. The glow of Rune carved into the The glow a rune carved into the ground provides the only light at first. Your eyes fixing on the sigil, you feel a burn on the back of your hand. Your fingers are curled around an obsidian chisel, and the same runic symbol on the ground burns bright on your skin. You are an engraved, imbued with the power to take runes of power from those around you and chisel them into your very being. If you gather enough, perhaps you can be free. In the glow of the sigil you see two shapes on the ground, a sword and shield. They are familiar in your grip. You found your first pieces of gear. Gear is a catch-all term for weapons and supporting items you use. For now, I'm going to turn down the music a little bit. For now, you'll start with these two weapons, longsword and shield. So we have cards to indicate what we have, and also the move set that they have with them. You'll find the cards for these at the back of the document. Set those aside so that you'll be ready to use them. Bet, got it. Setting out. It's now time for you to begin your adventure across this realm. Realms are regions of the world of Oberon, teeming with dangers to fight and mysteries to uncover. Realms also hide runes, powerful symbols that an engraved can carve into their being, giving you control over fate. Look at the realm map on the next page to learn more about realms and exploration. Realms, so below is the map for this realm. The exploration mode of Rune has the engraved wandering the map. The important locations in the map are labeled with a number and are called points. During exploration, you will move from point to point. At points, you'll have a number of actions you can take, including fighting enemies, searching for valuables, learning about the realm, and delving into dangerous situations. And so this is the map that we've got. I feel like it's some nonsense at 0.5, let's be honest. Alright. Number 1, sigil. A sigil carved into the very soul of this realm, connecting you with it. This is a place of rest, recovery, and rebirth. Sigil points. A sigil is a place of safety in the realm. Your connection to it is made with the chisel you carry. Sigils serve two purposes in the game. First, you can rest at a sigil anytime you visit one. If you do, you recover all of your missing health. Second, the sigil is where you appear after you die. Reborn and grave have all of their health recovered. Okay. The realms of Oberon are cyclical, and death has a cost, but for this tutorial we won't worry about that. Tutorial Step 1. First exploration move. It's time for you to take your first step in playing Rune. Right now you're in exploration mode since you're not currently fighting anything. Since there isn't much to do at the sigil at this point, it's time to move on. During exploration, you can move from your current point to any other point that it is connected to. Look at the map on the previous page and see what is connected to sigil point 1. Right now you only have one option, moving to point 2, that's where you're heading. So that would be moving from point 1 to point 2. Okay. Tutorial Step 2. The Realm Clock. Hold it. Before you read what's happening at point 2, you need to advance the realm clock. Oh. Okay. Realm clocks differ from realm to realm. They track progress towards an event. It could be something like the changing between day and night, or massive events such as the destruction of a point on the map. Okay. For this tutorial, you will mark it specifically where you are prompted to. Here is this realm's prompt. Okay, I'm gonna find something to draw a circle with. Okay. Mark a segment of the realm clock to show that you have moved between points. It seems that whenever you fill the clock completely, a great power will shift to you, the engraved. Okay. 2. Dueling fields. The path takes you to a field of tall grass. A lone figure stands in the distance, a drawn weapon in their hand. What's an engraved doing in a place like this? No matter. It's time to send you to your final rest. So, okay. There's two options here. Fight, 1 duelist, or search. Healing vial 1 can be used anytime during exploration. Recover 2 health when used. Yeah, great power did not actually make me feel great. Like, I hope it's something positive, but I also feel like it could be something that just immediately bodies me. Right, when you arrive at a point, there will be a collection of actions you can take. The 4 types of actions are fight, search, learn, and delve. If a point has a fight on it, you have to do that first before you can access any of the other actions. The Dueling Fields has 2 actions on it, a fight and a search. It looks like searching will get you a valuable healing item, but you need to clear up the fight first before you can get it. Time for your first fight and to switch to combat rules. First fight. In this fight, you will learn the core combat rules of Rune. Setting up, place 2 tokens on the 4x4 grid, one representing your character and one representing the enemy. Place them on opposite sides of the grid as seen below. Okay. Okay, so engrave needs to go there. So I'm the homie at the top. And this is the homie at the duelist. Okay, beautiful. And we have our grid for the first fight. Place a longsword and shield cards in front of you, so that's what we have here. These represent the gear that you have for the fight. Set aside 2d6. Okay. That's 1. That's 2. We got our 2d6. Place a duelist card in front of you. I have a duelist card. So we've got this. Alright, got our duelist card. This is the enemy you fight. Set aside 1d6 for the duelist. Okay, I'm going to make the duelist a green dice. So there's the duelist. This will be used to determine which actions the duelist will take when they act. You need to track the health of your engraved and the enemy. You start with 10 health. Okay. Okay, bet. I start with 10. The duelist has 6. Okay. You're now ready to begin. This art is dope. Is this the homie I'm fighting? Yeah, duelist seems like this is not going to go well for... I know that the instructions said that it's unlikely that I'll die, but I also feel like I might die. Rounds. Combat in Rune takes place in rounds. During a round, both the engraved and all enemies will complete a number of actions, including moving around the grid, attacking each other, and activating abilities. Each round follows the same 5 steps. Determine enemy actions, move enemies. Determine engraved actions, move engraved, deal harm. This tutorial will take you through each of these steps for a single round. You will then be able to repeat them until one person is left standing. Round 1, Step 1. Determine the duelist's actions. Okay. Enemies have action sets, collections of actions that an enemy will complete during their turn. At the start of a round, roll a d6 for each enemy in combat. Rolling for enemies happens at the beginning of rounds so that the engraved can anticipate the enemy's actions and try to adapt to the situation. This is similar to what is seen in Souls-like games, where enemies telegraph their attacks with particular visual or auditory effects. That's actually really cool. That's a cool touch. Roll 1d6, okay, to see for the duelist to see what they will do this round. Okay, I rolled a 4. Okay, you will see these actions used during other steps in the round. Round 1. Each of the duelist's action sets has a movement action in it. Here's an example. Move 1. In the above example, duelists would move 1 space closer to the engraved token. Whenever an enemy moves, they move orthogonally, never seen that word before, on the grid. Enemies cannot move diagonally unless said otherwise. When an enemy moves, they will always try to move to the closest possible range that they can deal harm from. You can see an enemy's range on their card. The duelist has a range of same and adjacent. I don't know what same means. It says it on the card at the top. But I don't know what same means. So I guess same tile and adjacent to them. We can be on the same tile. And so this also breaks it down. So a 1 or a 2, they would move 1, block 2. On a 3 to 5, they would move 2, harm 1, block 1. On a 6, they would move 1, harm 2. Okay. I like that system. Huh. Okay. Lastly, some action sets do not have a movement option. This is not the case for the duelist, but that will be the case in future fights. In these instances, the enemy stays in their current space. Look at the duelist card and find its range. The duelist deals harm whenever it is in the same space or an adjacent space to you. Move the duelist closer to the engraved. The dueler wants to be at the closest possible effective range, which in this enemy's case is being in the same space as you. That means when they move, they will always charge towards you and try to stand in the same space on the grid as you. I mean, I rolled a 4, so I feel like they move 2. That'd be 1. Oh, that's me. 1, 2. So he doesn't make it to the same spot as me. Round 1, step 3. Determine your actions. Now that you've seen the enemy move and know what it will do at the end of the round, dealing and blocking harm, it is time to decide what you will do with the gear that you have. Engraved roll their stamina pool, which in this case is the 2d6 you set aside during setup. The results of these dice are assigned to each piece of gear you have equipped. Gear works similarly to the action set seen with enemies. They provide you with some actions you will be able to do this round. In the case of the longsword and shield that means being able to move, deal harm, and block harm. Look at the 2 dice you've rolled. I haven't rolled them yet. Now we have a 3 and a 2. And compare the values of those dice to the values of your gear. You will see that you have a number of options depending on where you assign each die. Each piece of gear can only be used once in a round, so you can't assign both dice to a single piece of gear and use it multiple times. However, an alternative option you have is to sum the dice together and assign them to a single value of a piece of gear. Interesting. When you do this, you must use the exact summed value of dice. For example, adding a 4 and 3 makes 7, which is not a valid value for either your longsword or shield. There are rare circumstances where a die value cannot be placed on any gear you have. In those instances, the die is simply not used this round unless you use it in the above-mentioned summing rule. Consider your options and assign your 2 dice to determine your actions this round. That's actually super interesting. Huh. Okay, so the options that we have. For 3 to 4 on the shield, we move 1, block 1. And for a 2, we harm 1 with the sword. So I think that that's what we'll do. My range is same and adjacent with the longsword. So if I assign the 2 to the longsword and the 3 to the shield, rounds 1, step 4. If any of your gear allows you to move, do so now. So now we are in the same space as this homie. I'm going to move us off a little bit so that we can see that there's 2 people here. So this one is my token. Yeah, that's super interesting, gamer. I'm a fan of that. Because, like, everything doesn't always go great in video games. So, no, I like that part of the system. Okay, so, this is what our map currently looks like. You do not have to move if you don't want to, even if your gear allows it. Like enemies, the player may only move orthogonally on the grid unless said otherwise. You may move into the same space as the duelist if you like. Any 2 characters can share the same space during combat. Move your token on the grid if you are able and would like to. Oh? This poor person here. Unless that's me. That's probably me. I'm this homie on the ground, I guess. Round 1, step 5. Determine harm. Harm is dealt to both the engraved and enemy at the same time. First, determine if they are both in range of one another. We are. Both of us have a range of same and adjacent, so we will both hit. If the characters are in range of each other, they deal their harm to each other. If the characters are in the same space as one another, they deal an additional +1 to their harm. If either character also has a block action this turn, this reduces the harm they take by however much the block says. For example, block 1 would reduce incoming harm by 1. Harm is reduced from a character's total health. If a character's health is ever dropped to 0, they're dead. Okay, so we rolled a 4 for the duelist, so they harm 1. But I block 1, so I don't take any damage. So I will add the duelist card to this little view. So we rolled a 4 for the duelist. So they don't do any attacks. They block 1 damage from me, and then I still do 1, so they are down to 5. Because my sword does 2 harm. No, do not focus on that here. Okay. Okay. And then we both do 1 additional damage because we're in the same space. So I would go to 9. He would go to 4. Okay. Deal harm to the duelist and yourself if it is possible on this turn. If you aren't close enough on this turn to hit one another, don't worry, you will be soon. Round repeats to the death. This process is then repeated for additional rounds until either the duelist or you is dead. A round might feel complicated at first as you get used to the steps, but it will quickly pick up pace as you get comfortable with the enemy action sets and gear options you have. So, now we just repeat until one of us dies. Now, my question is, so does he have to move? Because, like, I don't have to. Right? Like, gamer, what do you think? If... Because, like, every option gives him a movement. But if we're all in the same space, wouldn't he not want to move? It appears that they do just move, no matter what. Yeah, so, like, they would continue to just, like, move around. Because, like, you're right, sometimes NPC enemies just be running around for no reason and you're very confused as to what they're doing. Okay. So, then we would roll for... I'm just going to leave these on. I'm not. Let's do that for now. So I rolled a 1 for the duelist, so he will move 1 square and block 2 damage. So let's say he moves here, and he will block 2. So then I will roll my 2 dice. I'd rolled 2 6s. Okay. So I will move 1. If I move here, we'll both do an additional point of damage. But because I rolled a 1, what he will do is just block 2. So I will also block 2, so I won't take the hit of damage for being in the same space, and I still get to do a point of damage for him because my sword does a harm 3 if I roll a 6. So then I do 2 points of damage because we're in the same space. So he's down to 2 points. Okay. And then we start again. So we go here. He rolled a... That's not an actual roll. He rolled a 1. Yeah, I think that that's like feedback that I will give, that it's unclear on if enemies also have to move. So let's say that he then runs over here. So I'm just the only one on this space. And then I will roll. I rolled a 5 and a 6. So I think I will again move to this space that he's on. And then, oh, sorry, forgot that that wasn't on. Because I rolled a 1 for the duelist, he will block 2 points. I also block 2, so he doesn't do any damage even though we're on the same space. Because that would just be a +1. And then he blocks 2 points. I still deal 2 points. So he's dead. 0. We won! We did it! The homie has perished. Oh, nope. Is this it? Perished. We won. Yeah, no, I think I actually really like it. I think it gives you a good balance of that, like you said, the tactical side of things, as well as like, that's a cool system. Alright. So, dueling fields. The second action that we can take is search. You just survived your first combat in Rune. Yeah, Gamer, which does add to that like Dark Souls feel of sometimes you just like suffer the consequences of a button that you pressed wrong. Okay. With a duelist dead, you have completed the fight action at the dueling fields, which means you can now search. Before you do, you need to mark the realm clock. The clock is not only advanced when you move between points, but also after you complete actions at them. Since you completed the fight, you should fill in another segment. Bet. That's 2 pieces of the pie filled in. This means you have 2 of the 8 segments filled and are that much closer to the power promised to you. Since you went through the trouble of dealing with a duelist, you might as well take the time to search the dueling fields for any supplies. Mark the search action as completed and note the healing vial you found. If you'd like, you can use it right now to recover 2 health or save to use it another time. In addition, mark the realm clock. Okay. I only lost 1 point, so I'm not gonna, but I'm gonna add to my notes +1. What is it, a healing vial? Healing vial. And it's used during exploration. It's now time for you to move on. You smell and see smoke in the distance. Time to investigate the Scorched Town, which is point number 3. Scorched Town. Smoke and ash, charred meat. This was once a nice town, but now it's a burning grave. After arriving in the Scorched Town, mark another segment of the realm clock. That's halfway filled now. This feels like a problem for me. Here's what you can do at this point. Learn. Increased lore +1. You can now travel between points 4 and point 5. Very little has survived the fires that torched this town, but among the cinders you find a tattered map. It reads, "Meet here after the job is done. No witnesses." Okay. You found your first learn action. The learn action does 2 very important things for you. Mark the realm clock, another segment as you complete it. Okay. But I don't like that the realm clock is filling up super quickly. At this point, you should have 5 of the 8 segments filled. We do. First, it increases your lore score. At the start of every realm, your lore is 0. Lore represents your knowledge of the realm. In the beginning, you know very little about the lands you wander. Only through exploration can you truly understand them. Your lore is now 1, so write that down. Lore. Lore is a passive value that will allow you to access things at points you wouldn't normally be able to do. Information is power in Rune. Okay. The lore action also gives you a hint of the story of the realm. You know some horrible plot befell this town, but who did it? You now know the path. Time to follow the trail to the bandit camp. Do I want to go there? Number 4, bandit camp. The sun is setting as you follow the trail towards a hill in the distance. The sounds of argument bounce off the hill and warn you there is trouble ahead. Once again, mark the realm clock as you move between points. Okay, did that. Fight. I had to fight 2 of them? 2 bandits are arguing with one another while they pull all valuables from the corpses at their feet. It seems you found at least some of those responsible for burning down the nearby town. It's time for your next fight. Should I have healed? Okay, so we got the bandit card now. There's 2 homies. Let's change out the dice for them. I'll go with these 2 for the... No, that's the wrong card. I'm gonna go with these 2 for the bandits. Okay, ooh, look at this art. In this scenario, you use the core rules learned in the first fight with a duelist and understand how they work when there are multiple enemies in combat. Place 3 tokens on the 4x4 grid, 1 representing engraved and 2 representing enemies. So let's get rid of this, homie. And then that's a bard, that's not, and then we'll do this homie. Oh, I'm still this dude at the top. And then this homie. Okay. So we've got our grid set up for the second fight. Again, place the longsword and shield cards in the 2d6 you used before in front of you. Place the bandit card in front of you. This is the enemy that you'll fight. While there are 2 of them, you only need 1 card as reference for their action set. Set aside 2d6 for the bandits. Bet. I start with 10. Each bandit starts with 4. Okay. The core rules learned in your first fight all still apply here, meaning you will still go through a series of rounds, each with the steps used before. However, there are some considerations when there are multiple enemies. Step 1 update. You roll a d6 for each enemy individually in the combat. This creates a variety of action sets that are active at one time. This means that the 2 bandits may act differently from one another during the fight. You'll have to adapt to multiple threats and decide how to best position yourself to face off against them. That's super interesting. When moving multiple enemies, you choose the order they are moved in. This may require you to interpret the best path for an enemy to take while trying to get in range. Note, while 2 characters can occupy the same space on the grid, no more than 2 may do so. If there is ever a moment an enemy would need to move onto a space that already has 2 characters, they simply do not move. No changes to step 3. Step 4. As stated above, you cannot move into space that already has 2 enemies in it, otherwise there are no changes. 5. Harm from all sources is given and blocked at the same time. This means that if multiple enemies will deal harm to you this round, it is summed and dealt together rather than a series of attacks. This is important for how your block works. Block reduces from the total harm amount, not from each source of harm individually. The engraved must deal all of their harm to a single target unless their gear allows them to do otherwise. This means that you can't split your harm across multiple eligible targets. So you have to body 1 dude before... Okay, so stats for the bandit. Health is 4. Range, same and adjacent. Alright, let's see how they do. So I rolled a 1 and a 2. So I don't know if y'all remember, but they said that they might act differently. They don't. They don't. So with a 1 and a 2, both of them will legit just move one space. So because the game explained that they will try to get as close to me as possible, I feel like this is like probably what they would do. And then I will roll for my turn. All of the dice collectively decided that I would only roll 1s and 2s. Which means I cannot use my shield for anything because I have to roll at least a 3. Huh. So yeah, I just have to hit things with my sword. So actually I can't even move. So no one does damage this round. Okay, this is my other question. So it's same and adjacent tiles, right? So if you're like, if this is the tile that one of the enemies was in and I was in this tile, is that considered to be adjacent? Or does it have to be like the ones that you share like an actual border with? Okay. I think I'm gonna not, I don't have a movement. So yeah, then the next round just starts. So we start off rolling bears. That's a 2 and a 6. So one of them will move 1, harm 1. And one of them will move 2, harm 2. So I think this one would probably move 2 and harm 2. So let's offset that a little bit. And this one would move 1. No, I think based on like, if we treat it the same as we treat movement, then I think I would agree. So we'll go with that for this playthrough, gamer. Let's move this, homie. Nope, that's not what I want. Oh, I don't think I slept well last night. So this homie won't get an attack, but now I roll for mine. Okay, this is gonna get the 2, this is gonna get the 3. So I have the ability to move 1 and I'll harm 1. However, I actually don't think I'm going to move because then that would give them the ability to like combo. So I'm gonna stay where I'm at. Actually, I'm not. I'm not gonna stay where I'm at because I'm on the same space. So I'm gonna move 1 to the right. And so I harm 1. So bandit 1, green, blue. We'll go down to 3 hit points. But he does 2 harm. I block 1, so I take 1. So I go down to 9. And then we start again. A 4 and a 6. So this homie would move 2. He will actually take both. And then this homie will share the tile with me. Which is a problem for me now. Okay, so that will be, if I don't roll a good block, that will be 4 to 6. 2, 3, 4 points of damage to me on this turn if I can't block anything. Okay, I rolled a 5 and a 6. I like this like overhead camera. I'm not gonna lie, this turned out super well. I think I need to work out the like lighting for it a little bit better. Ooh, I wonder if I could do that. I'm not gonna adjust it, but I really like how the overhead camera turned out. This looks great. So I rolled a 5 and a 6. I'm going to apply the 6 to my longsword, and I'm going to apply the block to my shield. I'm gonna not be in this space anymore. So I'm gonna move back 1 to the left. So this homie was the one that moved to harm 2. So he won't do any damage. This one got the 4, so they will harm 1. I block 2 here, which means I don't take any damage, and then I harm 3. So the green homie is now dead. So dead. Now it's just this homie. So let's take out one of the d6 and roll for it. Okay, rolled a 2, so they will move 1, harm 1, so homie will move here. I will roll for damage, so I rolled a 2 and a 5. Let's see what options we have. I'm going to apply the 5 to my shield, and I'm going to apply the 2 to my longsword. So they will attempt to harm 1, but I block 2, so won't take any damage. And I will do 1 damage, which knocks the blue homie down to 3. Okay. I rolled a 5, so they will move 1, harm 2. Gonna try to occupy the same space because that gives them an extra point of damage. Okay. And then I roll bet. Okay. So they rolled a 5, so they're gonna get to harm 2. I rolled a 1 and a 5. I can't use the 1. Nothing on my sword or shield allows me to use a 1 that I have rolled. I think I'm gonna make a bad decision. So I'm gonna move 1. I'm not gonna move. I'm not gonna move. I'm gonna stay on this space. Okay, so he will harm 2. I go to 7 because I can't block. I rolled a 5. A 5 gets me harm 2. He does an additional damage because we share a space, so I will actually go down to 6. This went bad terribly, or this went... I can add my rolls together, you're right. You're right, I forgot about that. I'm gonna add my rolls together. Oh, gamer, you're amazing. So I will take my movement, and I will combine these to be a 6, which will allow me to move a tile so that the homie does not get a bonus hit, so I will still go down to 7. But then I will do 3 points of damage, which puts him at 0. So homie's dead. Dead. Well, I appreciate that today, gamer. Okay, we survived. We're looking a little rough. It's fine. It's fine. What matters is that we won. Probably. Okay. 4. Bandit camp. After killing off the 2 bandits and finishing the fight, you should mark another segment of the realm clock. This puts you at 7 of the 8 segments filled. Something will happen the next time you act. Bet. Realm clock filled. These bandits are certainly responsible for the tragedy at Scorched Town, but they aren't the only ones. The map and note you found earlier let you know there are more of them out there to be found. It's time for you to travel to the final point of the map, the Rune Lord. Before doing so, check your health. This might be a good time to drink that healing vial to restore some health before moving on if you haven't already done so. When you're ready, go to the entry for the Rune Lord. Point 5. I am actually going to take this so that I can go back up to 9 hit points and cross that out. And then these homies gotta go away. It was definitely a choice, gamer. Okay, so I'm at 9. I do really like the art that they went with for this. It looks really cool. I'm a fan. Following the map, you come upon a clearing near the coast. Piles of ash are scattered around, the belongings of bandits mixed within. A source of terrible power haunts this place. The sigil on the back of your hand thrums. Reach out, face this entity, and claim its rune as your own. Delve requires lore +1. Take a temporary curse to summon the Rune Lord. You will have -1 stamina for the first round of the fight. Fight the Rune Lord. I don't want to. A roaring bonfire sits at the center of the clearing. The power comes from these flames, you're sure of it. Reaching in, your skin crackles from the heat, and you pull the Rune Lord into this realm, ready to slay it. I'm not ready. You have found the Rune Lord of this realm. Every realm has one, and they serve as the boss of the area. Slaying them will grant you access to power in the form of their rune. As an engraved, you can carve these runes into your being, granting you control over your fate. You must slay this Rune Lord. It is time to face the Rune Lord of this realm, but before you do, a couple things happen. First, mark the final segment of your realm clock. Bet, color that in. Done. It should look something like this, and the promised power has arrived. Power shifts to the engraved. A new piece of gear appears in front of you, just in time for you to face this terrible foe. You now have the Radiant Amulet. This amulet is a piece of utility gear. Utility gear are supporting items, there to give you the edge in combat. There are a variety of different types, but let's focus on the Radiant Amulet. The Radiant Amulet is an example of a locked utility item. Locked utility gear function very similarly to weapons. They have values that you assign dice to in order to gain an effect. The difference is that a die assigned to a locked item can be locked into that item, staying there for future rounds. When you do this, you will always gain whatever effect the locked item provides, but you will not roll that die when you normally roll your stamina pool. Locked dice can be returned to your stamina pool at the end of any round. Look at what the Radiant Amulet does. It allows you to heal during combat so long as you keep a die locked in it. You don't have to lock a die in right away, but the option is there. As you pick up the Radiant Amulet, you are imbued with additional power. For this last fight, your stamina pool has been increased to 3. You do not need to assign all of your dice every time you roll them. Now you have even better odds for your weapons and can lock into the amulet without messing up your weapons. Okay, so if I lock in a 4 to 5, I heal 1 harm at the start of each round. If I lock in a 6, I heal 2 harm at the start of each round. This item is dope, but I have to roll a 4, 5, or 6 to use it. Let's get rid of the bandits. They got bodied. Kind of. Okay. I'm gonna hold the Radiant Amulet outside and put the Rune Lord here. Now, what this did also say was, in the first round, we have -1. I'm sure that they're going to explain this to me. Okay. In order to face the Rune Lord, you must complete the delve action at this point. Delves are more complex actions. They typically require you to have done something before you can engage with them, such as a minimum lore score, having a specific item found elsewhere on the map, or some other task. This delve requires you to have a lore score of at least 1 in order to complete it and summon the Rune Lord to fight. Thankfully you have a lore of 1 because you did the learn action at the Scorched Town. That means it's time to fight the boss. You've done everything you can to prepare. Pick your weapons, place the amulet around your neck, and don't die. A mass of skeletons, covered in scorched armor, wielding a sword of flame, looms before you. The Rune Lord of this realm seeks your end. I like his little cape. It's a cute cape, homie. In this scenario, you will use all of the rules you've learned for combat and combine them with your newfound power with the Radiant Amulet and a stamina pool of 3. Place 2 tokens on the grid, one representing your engraved, the other the Rune Lord. Place markers on the grid at the marked locations below. These represent massive terrain that blocks the battlefield. No character can move through or onto these spaces. Okay. Nope. Go back up. Nope. I didn't finish. Stop. Okay. This is me. These 2 homies can kick rocks goodbye. Let's find a fun looking one. This is what it looks like right now. Place the longsword, the shield, and the radiant amulet. It's not all gonna fit on this dice. So, we also place the Rune Lord card in front of us. Set aside 2d6, so let's set aside a new 2d6. Let's do these because I like them. This says, you and the Rune Lord start with 10 health, but like, don't I start with 9? Should I just listen to what the instructions say? Should I start with 10? Because like I'm at 9 hit points. But do I want to make this harder for me? No. That's kind of what I'm thinking. I'm going to start with 9. I'm going to be honest, and I'm going to start with 9, and this homie starts with 10. Because that feels right. I'm not at full health. It's fine. It's probably fine. Fighting Rune Lords. I don't want to scroll too far. A Rune Lord fights the same way as other enemies you have faced. It has a number of action sets that determine how it will act during combat, and they are determined by rolling dice. However, each Rune Lord also has special rules that makes them more dangerous and unique. This Rune Lord rolls 2d6 and keeps the higher result when determining which action set it uses each round. Hi, Lunar. They also have a special effect whenever they roll a 6 for their action set, so we're never rolling a 6. The Erupt power deals harm to every adjacent space to the Rune Lord, so keep away from them if you see that coming. Good luck, don't die. Yeah, gamers, so that was plural, right? Okay. So, now, my other question is I start the first round with -1 stamina, right? So, like, I can only select 2 of the dice that I roll, correct? So this is gonna be the raid, like, that's our 3rd one. I think I can only roll 2. So we roll the homie first. We rolled a 3 and a 5. So the special is roll 2d6 and choose the highest for action set. So our highest number is a 5. So with the 5, he moves 2 and harms 3. So move 2. His range is also same and adjacent. I rolled 2 dice. I rolled a 1 and a 5. I'm gonna I'm gonna apply the 5 to my, like, I know he can't hit me now, so nothing happens on this turn, which I'm okay with. I'm actually going to apply this 5 to the Radiant Amulet so that I will heal a harm at the start of each round, and I will, at the start of next round, go back up to 10. And that's how we'll do this round. So we start again. Roll 2, we got another 5, so he will move 2, and then we'll harm 3. That's not great for me. I will go back up to 10, and then we'll roll 2. Let's roll a 6 and a 3. He is going to harm 3. So let me go back to what it said about the Radiant Amulet. Locked dice can be returned to your stamina pool at the end of any round. So I'd have to roll again. So that answers the question that I had. Okay. I think this is what I'm gonna keep. I am gonna move 1 here, and he's on this tile, because I don't want to take the extra point of damage that comes from sharing the same tile space. So he will harm 3. I block 2, so I will take a point, go back to 9. I harm 3. He does not block any, so he will drop to 7. And we'll begin again. Okay, at the start of a new turn, I have Radiant Amulet that I heal 1 harm, so I will go back up to 10. There, I rolled a 6. A 6 is bad, because on a 6, the Erupt power also hits all of the adjacent tiles, but Homie rolled also has to move 3. See, now I feel... Can they move back and forth in a space? Like if I went from here to here to here. Oh, go away. To there. So like it would be 1, 2, 3. Is that like a valid move set? Yeah, because like the boss wouldn't move. So if I go 1, 2, 3, this is what I'm going to say that the homie did. And then I will roll mine. I rolled a 6, I'm going to need that. And a 4, we'll put the 4 here. So I can move 1. Homie stays here. And then I will harm 2. But he harms 3. And Erupt does an additional 2. So I will block the Erupt damage and take 3 points of damage, which drops me to 7. And then I will harm 2, which drops him to 5. At the beginning of the next round, I get a +1, which brings me back up to 8. I rolled a 5 and a 2. A 5 means that he moves 2. We'll go here, I guess. Yeah, the force movement is not. I would like some extra clarification on if enemies also have to move. Maybe somebody's already asked that question, though. I'll look into it after stream. Okay, so then that's where he will be. I rolled a 6 and a 2. On a 5, he harms 3 and moves, so we did the movement. So I think that the way that they're laid out is the way that I have to do it. So he will harm 3, I will block 2, so I'll take a point of damage, dropping back to 7. On a 2, I harm 1, which drops him to 4. We begin again. A 2 and a 3. So on a 3, he will move 1. He will attempt to share this tile with me. And then he will block 1, harm 2. I rolled a 3 and a 5. I think that I need to apply the 5 to my longsword, so I will leave it as it is. I'm not gonna move. So he will harm 3 because we're sharing the same tile. So he will harm 3. I block 1, so I will take 2 points. When I started the round, I didn't add, so I'm at 8. Because it's the start of the round, so I get +1. I block 1, -2. I'm at 6. Right? Yes. And then on a 5, I harm 2. We share the same space, so that puts me at a 3. He's blocking 1, so that's 2 points, drops him to 2 points of damage. Start of the turn, I go up to 7. Naturally, homie got a 6. So he moves 3 tiles. 1, 2, 3. I'm gonna say that he can move backwards. It's fine. I need to not be next to him. So that's 2 4s, so it doesn't matter what I assign. So I can move 1, block 1. Move 1, harm 2. I have 7 hit points. He will do a total of 4 damage to me. I'm doing it. I'm going to stay where I'm at. So he does 3 points of harm for the dice roll, 2 points of harm for erupt. So that's a total of 5. I can block 1, so I will take 4 points, and that will drop me to 3. I harm 2. He has 2 hit points left, so he has 0. We won. Get out of here. Death. We won! We have 3 hit points left. Ah, okay. No, that was dope. Okay, I like this system. Collapsing in a pile of ash before you, you have slain your first rune lord. A rune glows among the cinders. Placing it against your skin, you carve it into your being using the obsidian chisel bound to you. The rune glows in your skin for a moment, and you feel yourself grow in power, more untethered from fate. Seek rune lords, take their runes, take back your fate. Congratulations! You've just finished your first realm in Rune and now have an understanding of the basic rules of the game. Is that all? Of course not. The complete game has so much more that you didn't get to see here. Here's just a tease. Bigger realms with multiple paths for you to explore. Capture the exploration feelings of the worlds of Souls-like games. Tons of weapons and supporting items to discover and wield to find your perfect build. Lots of enemies to face and rune lords to slay. An advanced system based on slaying rune lords and getting fate-changing powers. Rules for wielding powerful two-handed weapons. Terrain, traps, and hazard rules to change up the battlefield. Lots more. If you're ready to take your rune experience to the next level, you go read the complete rules document, and after that, take what you've learned and try your hand at the Grim Coast realm. Want even more? Grab some of the many weapons and enemies in the resources document and make your own combat scenarios. Find the weapons and build that fits your playstyle. That was really cool. That was really cool. Nah, that was dope. I like this. So, if you are interested in learning more about Rune or even like checking out the Kickstarter page, you can click either of those links. But these were the cards that I had printed out, so they were just at the end of this document. That was dope. This is gonna be really cool. Huh. I really like it, gamer. That's gonna be a lot of fun. Oh, this is the wrong scene. Let's go to this scene. Yeah, the only pieces that I would ask would be about the movement for enemies. And then, although gamer, I guess enemies would normally move. Because even remembering watching the little that I have of like Sekiro or I guess it would be Dark Souls or even Elden Ring, like some of the bosses do just literally run away for a while and then run back at you. That's dope. I like this. Huh. This is really cool. I'm a fan. Yeah, no, I like that. I think the other piece is also clarifying in combat if you always heal to full at the beginning, or if you start with what you ended with. So like the question that we had when we started this combat was that the rules say each of you starts at 10, but I was at 9 health points. I mean, ultimately it didn't matter because I had that radiant amulet, and so like I went back up to 10, but still. No, that was dope. I'm excited to see what else comes out for this. Huh. Good job. No, I like that.